Welcome to the Everglow Show. I'm Eric McClanahan, joined by the producer of the show, Kylan Savage. What's up,
Hello.
Kylan?
Not much. Critter update. No more brown recluses, but we got snakes now.
Did the snakes chase out the spiders?
I really hope so. I'd be way happier with that.
Also joining me, as usual, AJ Simmons. What's up, AJ?
Howdy.
Um, Today, we're going to be talking about the 1987 album from Keith Sweat called Make It Last Forever. Kind of a different territory for us, but
Is there a territory for us though? Because I feel like
well,
we
Right.
like K-pop, electronic
That's
rock,
true.
like
That's
we're
true.
all over the
I
place.
know.
we are all over the place. So anybody who watches more than one episode that we put out, thank you, because you must have
That's
very
so good.
varying music tastes.
Well, this is good though. I'm glad we're doing this now because as of tonight, when we're recording this, my episode of Caleb the Spy's album anniversary podcast just came out, and I think on that episode, I fully repitched the Everglow show as a K-pop show. So I'm glad we're not
Oh,
still doing
I
nice.
did
K-pop.
catch that.
I
Yes, I
said
did catch that.
I think we're gonna pivot to K-pop full time as a joke, but
It's done well for us,
it really
but
has.
yeah. So some R&B today. Most of the songs on this album were written and produced by Keith Sweat and Teddy Riley, who
Teddy Riley.
is from the groups Guy and Blackstreet. And Blackstreet, another one of my favorite R&B artists.
Nice.
Um, Both, I would say, two of the best producers ever in R&B. Um, so it kind of feels almost like a supergroup album, even though they were both pretty early into their things at this time. This was one of the first albums to introduce the New Jack Swing style, which would pretty
Yes.
much be the dominant R&B form of the late 80s and early 90s. Um, and the album has sold over 3 million copies in the United States, 60,000 in the UK.
Ooh.
Kylan, what's your history with Keith Sweat?
I mean it like uh I would say Keith Sweat is like one of those artists that to me like the analog would be something like The Godfather or Wizard of Oz, like so like what like one of these like cultural things that it is so ubiquitous that like I don't think I could name a Keith Sweat song until I listen to this album, but uh I've just always like my entire life I've just been aware of
Yeah,
Keith Sweat, right? Like it's just one of those things like it's in the cultural subconscious.
for sure.
Like we're all aware, and when I hear the name Keith Sweat, I know the sound,
Yeah,
and I've heard it like so much throughout my life. I also couldn't name a specific song until this, so this was
interesting.
a really fun listen. I'll say
Awesome.
that.
I'm looking forward to your thoughts. AJ, what about you? Do you have any
I think that's
history with
similar.
Keith
Like I
Sweat?
couldn't tell you a single song, but I think early on in this you make reference to Keith Sweat, like one of the first times I was on here or whatever, and I was like, yeah, like 80s baby
Right.
making music. Yeah,
Yeah,
all right. I know
exactly. Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Like I know. And then it was funny because you talked about like the sound that they make, kind of being like late 80s, early 90s, and I know nothing. So this is gonna be the most fun because I'm gonna make observations that you're like, yeah, that's everybody knows that. But I was like, oh, this reminds me of stuff like Paula Abdul, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson,
Right.
TLC, Color Me
yeah.
Bad, MC Hammer, like
You're like,
Who
all like
were?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
no
like
duh.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's gonna be the first of being like, congratulations,
Right.
you got it.
yeah,
Right. And so I think that and there's some of the songs I recognized when I heard them the first time through, but I don't think I knew that I'm guessing they were
Yeah,
thrown in like the
exactly.
top 40 stations that
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
we list to along with everything I just listed there and more. But yeah, I knew of let's see, the concept of Keith Sweat, but I
Yeah.
couldn't really
Exactly.
tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like
Like
anything
conceptually,
about.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
like I
like
get it, right? Like that
there's a
slow jam,
vibe
maybe
that you
making
get
music,
when you hear that
little
name.
electronic in there, right? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Um, but that's it. Like, and even like friends of mine, I told I'm doing this one, they're like, who? Like, why are you doing that? And one of my friends goes, yeah, so you just did a ska album earlier this week, and now you're doing that. And I was like, oh, you don't even know what's in the vault right now to come out.
Yeah.
Like it's getting even weirder. So, yeah, don't really have history, but know of the concept of him
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, when I first was kind of allowed to listen to music that my parents weren't listening to, uh, Twisted from Keith Sweat was a big hit on pop radio. And I really loved the sound, bought the single, eventually bought the whole album, and still really enjoy that album. Um, but it wasn't until I took a deeper dive in his discography that I realized that this this is what I think is his best, and we'll of
Yeah.
course talk about why I think that. But first, what's go ahead, Colin.
Oh no, I I just love like given what I know of your history, like music wise, because you came on Church Names Now and talked about your origin story, right?
Yeah.
Um, I just love like Keith Sweat is just such a hard swing. Uh, outside of the like you know drums and guitar are satanic of
Yeah.
like the music you grew up listening to. It's like, ooh, Keith Sweat. Okay. All right. All right. I love it. And I just love every one of these albums that we've covered uh makes me feel like I know you a little bit better as a person and as a friend, right? Like I
Oh,
just
well, I
get
love that.
like a little bit it's like those uh almost like a scratch off, right? Like we're getting just
Yeah.
a little bit more. And yeah, I love it. It's so good.
Well, I love that. That's awesome. Um, yeah. So I a lot of people rebelled against the Independent Fundamental Baptist Church by
Mm.
getting into smoking and drinking and drugs and all that, and I'm like, I am going to listen to all the bad music.
But again, that
Yeah,
checks
no,
out
I
for
love
you.
it.
Like that, like
Yeah,
100%. You're like, yeah, that's valid.
for sure.
I don't think I was in eighth grade, so I don't think I realized exactly how sexual a lot of the R&B I was listening to was until later. And now when I listen
Right.
to it, I'm like, I cannot believe my mom let me listen to this.
Yeah. No,
She would
that
not buy she would not buy the Jesus Freak single for me because it had Jesus and Freak in the same title.
right.
But yeah, I'm jamming Keith Sweat and Boys to
I,
Men, all this in the
right.
car.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that reminds me when I was 14, um my grandma took me and my sister to the mall and we went to Hot Topic and she said I could buy a shirt and there was a t-shirt that I so wanted that had balloons on it, but it was a Death Cab for Cutie shirt
Mm.
and she refused to buy it because it had the word death on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But she did buy me a Hawthorne Heights
Hmm.
shirt
Nice.
because it had like an approximation of a Texas flag on it. I'm like, okay, but like lyrically,
Yeah,
like what Hawthorne Heights is talking about at this time.
yeah,
Because this was like right after like Ohio is for Lovers
yes, yeah.
came out. But simply because the Death Cab for Cutie shirt said death on it, she would not ever let me wear that shirt, but would 100% buy me the Hawthorne Heights shirt. Yeah. And so
That
I
is
I
hilarious.
I fully relate. I understand.
So I'm gonna real quick. Here's a story about kind of sexualized songs, and when I did realize that some of them were something that somebody my age not listening to. I used to buy like all the cassette singles and CD singles that I could get for like $1 because I didn't have the money
Mhm.
to buy at the time buy $18 full length albums.
Right.
So I bought the single of Red Light Special by TLC. And I don't know if y'all know
Oh
that
yeah.
song,
Oh yeah.
but I pop it in my dad's cassette deck on the way home and we're listening to it. And I had not heard the song before. And after it was over, I was like, I was so embarrassed. I didn't say anything. I went in the house. I threw the cassette in his trash can in his room so he would see that I threw it
That you
away.
threw it away. Oh, that's so good. Oh, I
um,
love that.
so yeah, I guess they didn't all escape me with how sexual they were, but
That's
yeah.
so funny.
Anyways,
Eric, but before we get into this album, um, I want to dig a little bit deeper into why this is such an important album for you, like even now. Like,
yeah,
you touch on it briefly of like, you think this is his best, but let's get a little bit deeper with that.
okay. I'll I guess I'll get into more specific things with each song, but it's like when I think of R&B that I loved, a lot of it was slow jams, the 808s, real
Yeah.
big, like New Edition, Boys to Men, stuff like that. And as I got older and started just trying to figure out what my favorite albums really are, this is the one that I feel like musically represents what I most love and loved about the R&B genre, even
Yeah.
though I didn't discover this album until I was an adult.
Okay.
His, like I said, his, I think it was a self-titled album I had when I was in middle school. Um, but everything else I kind of got into later. But when I
Okay.
listen to this, I think this is the R&B sound that I love. It's got the 808s. It's mostly slow jams, the ones that are up tempo. Got that New Jack Swing style that like Boyz II
Yeah.
Men was doing on Motown Philly, um, and things like that. And
Got synths, and you like synths.
it's I
Mm,
love synths, and it's got a lot of synth. When I saw
mm.
him live, I think he had like three synth players, and I was like, "Oh
Oh,
yeah,
that's
this is
great.
so good."
That's great.
uh,
Well, that also leads into my next question. I was going to ask
yeah,
if you've ever seen him live.
yeah. I actually one of my most specific memories of something somebody said on stage was him. I went to this, like it was like a throwback R&B concert at the local arena, so it's a huge huge thing. It's Keith Sweat, Monica, um, John B. I can't remember who else. It was 5 or 6 artists. It got started super late. It was run very unprofessionally. He did not come on the stage as the headliner until like 12:30 in the morning. That's
Oh my
how
God.
late this thing was
Ooh.
running. And he gets up there and you can tell he's tired and irritated, but I mean he's still putting on a great show. But about halfway through he goes, I know it's late, but I just got so many hits. And that's one of my favorite things
Oh,
that
that's
anybody
so
has
good.
ever said from stage. So yeah, he was great. His band, he had a full band, just really, really incredible
Nice.
show despite being an unpleasant experience overall as far as concerts
Mm,
go. But
I think that says
yeah.
a lot about him, though, that he like probably walked into it being like, not a great situation,
huh.
but you know what? People
Yeah.
paid their money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's time to do it. It's
Consummate
time.
Yeah,
professional.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. I've seen so many other bands where it's the exact opposite, where you're like
Hmm.
everything's right, and you're just not in a great mood, and so because of that, you're gonna take it out on the crowd.
Yep.
Right. And one of my friends is kind of up there in security at the arena, and he was working the backstage, the backstage area and things, and he was real impressed with Keith Sweat, even though he was obviously kind of irritated. He's like, jokingly being frustrated, I think so, but I think
Right.
he he made a good impression. Not
Nice.
he's
That's awesome.
Yeah, seems like a pretty solid guy.
For sure.
Um, so let's talk about rating scale again real quick.
Cool.
Kylan, what is your rating scale this time?
Okay, so I've been doing a 1 through 5
Yep,
scale, right? But I think realistically, I'm probably doing, at least at this point, I'm doing like a 3 through 5. So
that's that's
the
good though.
yeah,
You
exactly.
at least like all the albums so far, and some to some
Exactly.
degree.
I haven't like absolutely detested anything we've listened to.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I think I'm still just sticking with the 1 through 5. I've got half
Nice,
points
nice.
for certain things, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, it's probably best that you stick with 1.5 because I'm loving like writing down what you're giving everything, and at the end, we can
It's gonna be
maybe do
wild. It's gonna make no
like a
sense.
top 10 or something.
Yeah,
uh
no, if you read me back like my top rated songs by the end of this, I'm gonna be like, I have no idea. I have no
yeah, you won't
explanation.
remember. Yeah, you probably won't remember most of them, but you'll at least remember probably like the full albums like that
For
you
sure. For sure.
uh, AJ, are you going with the is it 0 through 3 or 1 through 3?
Yeah, 0 through 3.
0 through 3. All right. Um,
The
we
funny
had
thing
a
about
little.
me having actually
Go
like a
ahead.
zero though is like my zero is very different of like it's just not for me. There's no like my zero does not mean I hate it. It just means like not my tunes.
That's
So like
fair.
I want to be kind of clear about that just because it's a zero does not it's not the saying I like this should be thrown in the dumpster heap. It just means
Right.
like other people probably love this. It ain't me.
That's the thing. If I ever
Yeah.
have a 1, I am fully like this belongs in the garbage.
Right. And that's why I'm clarifying because you and I like interact with offering our opinions on music
No, for
very
sure. For
differently.
sure. Well,
Um
that's the thing. It is very rare for me to find art that is that I feel is truly garbage worthy because I do recognize a lot of things are just not for me. But
yeah.
there have been a few things in my life that I have encountered that I'm like, this just does not deserve to exist.
Yeah, I have a playlist called Hell's Playlist, and it's all like my least favorite songs.
Oh, that's so good. I need you to send that to me when we're done.
I'll have
we
to do
might need to
that.
do an
Yeah,
episode on that playlist.
we
For
should.
sure.
Yeah,
For
at
sure. I
least.
would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that would be fun.
In defense of like Kylan and I need to
Yeah.
find like a couple of songs on there that we may make an argument for.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That would be fun. Okay. Um, all right. Well, let's get into the tracks. My rating scale is as usual. I have two separate rating scales, a typical 5-star scale and a like what I call the pitchfork scale of 0.0 to 10.0. Um, they kind of correspond. I sent it written out to the guys earlier this week, and it's very wonky, but it works for me. So that's what I
Yeah.
use.
I love it.
Um, all right, track one, something just ain't right. This starts the album off right, I think, with that cool little synth thing at the beginning. Kylan,
Oh,
what do you think of
so
this
good.
song?
Oh, I mean, it's so good. It's so good. The production is just top notch.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, I want to, if you guys will indulge me,
Always.
um, I would like to get a little bit music nerd,
Please
music
do.
You're the music man.
historian
What you're supposed to do.
Do
on
it.
you guys. And I want to talk about the history of the Torch song.
Okay.
Um, so
Explain to
for
me what that means. Is this like villagers with carrying torches?
yeah,
It's like
no, okay. It's fascinating, and I like in preparation for this read so many academic articles about it. Um, that I've
How's it
now
feel?
like
Hold on, hold on. How does that feel
fully
to have to read
forgotten.
academic articles, man?
Oh no, I
Mind
love
numbing,
it.
right?
No, I love it. I love it. This is like fully my jam. Okay, so torch songs, rather than being a specific genre, are more of a niche and can jump genres. Um, the idea of a torch song for listeners and viewers that may not be aware is the type of song about unrequited love. So it first became popular in the 1920s during like musicals and the whole like cabaret scene. Um, and the idea of it is like so it's mostly associated with female artists, specifically in the 30s and 40s, doing these like jazz standards, um, but singing about loving someone that doesn't quite love you back the same way. And it's really fascinating to read about. Like this came about specifically because in those cabaret environments, it was really hard to get people's attention. So there are these songs that are incredibly soulful and really powerful. So the whole idea is like you carry a torch for someone, right? Like you love them unconditionally. They may not love you back. Um, so like sorry, I had all this planned out, and I'm immediately going full ADHD brain. I'm thinking too many things. Okay, um, Billie Holiday actually came out with an album in 1955 called "Songs for Torching," um, and like Roy Orbison was a big like torch song artist. And it's one of those things that's like because it's not a specific genre, it's kind of nebulous and hard to define. Um, and I read a lot of articles where people, compared like Amy Winehouse and Adele songs would be sort of more like modern torch songs. Um, but I found it fascinating that in the earliest iterations of torch songs, there were a lot of black female artists that were associated with it. And then it kind of got co-opted by white guys in the 60s. And then it kind of went back to being like very like women focused in the 90s and 2000s. And I feel like there could be an entire academic paper written about the exclusion of black male R&B artists within the torch song niche, because to me this is 100% a torch song. Like the way that he delivers every line of this song, like you really feel like he wants this woman to love him
Mhm.
and he's not feeling it. And I really wish I was articulate enough to uh, write that paper or to talk about that more at length, but I'm genuinely like really fascinated by this idea, and I immediately fell in love with the song. Between the production and the torch song element of it, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a little, even for him, a little lyrically uncharacteristic. It's not kind of as like arrogant. I'm the man,
Right.
you know, type stuff. Which I mean, not that he does that. I don't know. The confident he it's not as confident, I think, as most of his songs are. He's obviously, hurting for something. AJ, what do you think about the song?
So, first off, my academic publishing is so wide and varied. This would not be weird for me to pick this up, Kylan. So, like, let's talk more about
All
like
right,
doing
let's do it.
academic
Let's
study.
do
Let's just
it.
add it to the weird pile of
Let's
everything
talk
that I've.
about the
Do it.
exclusion of male
Yes,
R&B artists within the
exactly. Now you
torch
see
song
where I'm. Yeah,
conversation. Yes.
exactly.
Oh, I'm here
100%.
for it.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I have the note that like overall on this album that he emotes really, really well.
Mhm.
And you kind of feel like this like pathetic longing that's there. And so when you say like this, this got picked back up in the 90s and 2000s, I think it also got picked up by Sad Boys in Long Island.
For sure, for sure.
In the early
Yeah.
2000s and like then spread throughout America because like 100% I need Alex Melton or like Matt Cushel, one of them to do like an emo version of this album because these are emo lyrics.
Yeah.
And I say that like,
A thousand
uh,
percent.
it's hilarious. You mentioned academic papers, and I'm like, I don't know, brand new and take
I
you
don't know,
back Sunday. Like
I know. We've
we're
like
trading roles
weirdly
here,
swapped. We've got some
right?
weird
But like
Freaky
this kicks
Friday
us off,
situation. Yeah.
right? Like we have this whole like emo rap or whatever now, like R&B, like going this just going back to the roots in some
Yeah.
ways, to that. But this feels that sort of similar like hurt and
Hmm.
depth that like the at
Yeah.
the best of that like 2000s 2010s emo can do or take
Yeah.
it further because I don't even know how to like classify bands like E for Explosion and stuff like that are doing that like the 1980s like Morrissey Robert Smith
Hmm.
type stuff because it's there as well, right? Like
Right.
my brain weirdly again it's like so far out of my wheelhouse musically that I was like I latched onto some of the lyrical content, kind of the emotions of it, and immediately it was like a 80s alternative and like 2000s sad white boy music. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this links heavily to that. And it starts off with this track. And I do love like the synth loop. I actually texted you guys about the synth loop
Hmm.
on this. And then the like the voice modifier parts are like very Daft Punk, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think like Bruno Mars could drop a cover of this tomorrow and people wouldn't realize it was a cover. They
Oh,
would just
for
be like, yeah,
sure.
this is a Bruno Mars
Yeah.
song,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Again, not knowing this, again, I'm probably saying somebody that knows this genre. They're like, yep, there's a line from Keith Sweat to Bruno. Congratulations. But it feels like this. Like Bruno Mars and Daft Punk got together and
Yeah.
made this song. I do think it goes on a little too long towards the
Hmm.
end, but I think that it's a good song. I have it as a 2.25.
Mhm.
So I like it. I did text you guys, and you didn't respond, Kylan. So I'm curious what you think about this. I think Iggy Azalea owes this man some money
For sure. For sure.
because of the beat to fans. I
Dun
played it for my
dun dun
wife. Yeah, I played it
dun
for my wife, and
dun
she immediately
dun
was like,
dun
"Oh yeah."
Yeah.
Like
dun dun
100%.
dun.
Like
Yeah.
fancy
Yeah.
obviously uses like brighter sense, I guess. Is
Right.
that the
Yeah.
right word to use there? But it's the same like looping, same rhythm
For
of that
sure.
synth.
Mm.
But yeah, this is a good way to introduce this album. And we talk about albums having like the thesis track.
Hmm.
I think the first track is the thesis track on
For
this one.
sure. For sure.
So
Hmm.
yeah, 2.25.
Nice.
Love it. Um, yeah, a lot of things y'all already mentioned. I call them the robot vocals, the
Daft
background
Punk.
Yeah.
vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daft Punk sounded. I love that. That's another element of this era of R&B that I can't find when I go and try to listen to modern R&B for things that hit me in the same way that albums of this era did. Like that's missing. 808s are missing. A lot of the things that I love so much here, I can't find anymore. And I wish the modern R&B artists would
Hmm.
rediscover, uh, you know, Keith
I
Sweat.
know. I feel like R&B needs like what's been going on with like the emo
Mhm.
revival,
And
Yeah,
the
for
right?
sure.
post-punk revival,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And like even lyrically now, R&B is like over the top vulgar. Like Keith Sweat, not so much on this album, but on other ones gets a little uncomfortably
Hmm.
sexual, but it's not like
Oh, he gets uncomfortably
vulgar.
sexual in this one. We'll get to it.
There's there's one that's a little uncomfortable. Um, but if you hear his other albums, you would not think this one was as
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But it's not. But he's not like as vulgar, I think, as modern
Right.
R&B
Mhm.
is. And so yeah, the song as the album overall, just I love the program beats. I feel like the background vocals are also just like placed expertly throughout this album.
Yep.
Uh, it's an album that's almost like an R&B jam band album because like it's like they're really feeling the song and they
Oh
keep
yeah.
going maybe a minute or two longer than
Yeah,
Right.
radio
every
would
song is like
play.
5 to 6 minutes long, right?
Yeah,
Like,
which in an era where it's all about radio play, that they really had to rely on radio edits for these songs, I would say.
yeah.
um but yeah, I like that they do it, and different instruments kind of come in and showcase different parts. I think a lot of times the synths, which I love. So this is a 5 star, 9.6 for me.
Nice.
um yeah, just barely into 5 star territory, but still 5 stars nonetheless. Track two, Right and a Wrong Way. We were just talking about lyrics. This is the one that's a little uncomfortable. Not quite cringe, but uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kylan.
Yeah. Yeah. You may be young, but you're ready.
Yeah.
Ready to learn. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, again, no
yeah.
wonder this sounds like 2000s pop punk and emo lyrics, right? I mean,
No, for sure.
Yeah, it's like he had to clarify the next line. You're not a little girl anymore. You're a woman now. Just in
Right.
case
Yeah, you gotta
anybody
throw
out
that in
there
there.
is wondering exactly where we're at here.
But you know what? I do appreciate that. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that he did take the time
yes.
to be like, hey, like, this is not a child. This is a full woman.
Yeah.
So, okay, my first big note on this is this bass line, this boom, 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 is the exact same bass line from Pony by Genuine.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to it, it like you could do a mashup of this and Pony, and you may not be able to tell much of a difference. That doom, 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 like it.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Oh, but it's so good. I did find out because I was obsessed with this sweet, sexy saxophone solo.
Yeah.
That kicks in at the fourth minute, right? Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's not a real saxophone.
I was wondering if it's like
Ooh.
synthesized
It
saxophone
is.
somehow.
The producer could not find anybody to play this saxophone solo, so he did it on a synthesizer,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds better than most actual sax solos that I've ever heard. Like it, and it feels believable. Like I didn't know that until I looked it up. I was like,
Yeah.
I actually
did
have a
not know
note
that.
on sax sense on
Yeah.
my notes.
Mine says, "Is that a synthesized trumpet?"
it's so good.
Yeah, it's really
it's
good.
so good.
Yeah.
Guess what? I gave this 5 out of 5.
Oh, nice. You like the uncomfortable
Well,
of it.
I was fine with it.
Okay.
Like once he clarified, you're a woman,
Yeah.
not a girl. I'm like,
Right.
all right, cool. I'm on board.
Okay.
And then this,
All right.
the saxophone. I'm like, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
this all day.
Yeah. What is that playing the main, like that main melody in the
Um, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
it's all synthesizers, but
Yeah.
like it's all very produced,
Yeah.
but produced in the way that I like.
Yeah.
Like they took like default sounds and tweaked them to make them unique.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, no, I love this song.
Awesome. AJ?
You hate it, you hate it. Of course you hate it. Of
Yeah,
course
this
you
might
hate
be
it.
the
We're
the the, the
opposites.
largest difference of opinion that we've, I think, had, because this, what's the polite way to put it? This doesn't work for me. He's got some great vocal range that he shows off here, right? Like he really does. But it's musically just doesn't work for my brain. I think that the like sax synth sound is the most interesting thing in the song for me. This is very hold music for like if you're calling in somewhere, and they're putting you on hold like this. If they just took the vocals out of this and put it on there. The lyrics at the beginning really do throw me, and the clarification still doesn't help, in my opinion, for me. Um, so yeah, like this is really well produced. He's got a great vocal range that he shows off, but just a swing and a miss for me. But I'm not the target audience, so
Fair
that's what
enough.
I got.
Fair enough. Yeah. As far as R&B lyrics go, the most I ask is not they not be vulgar or cringe. And this one comes the closest to cringe, but I've heard much worse, so it doesn't bother me like too much. And like Kylan said, where he clarifies that does help me. Um, uh, but my favorite parts of it are still the production, the music, that key or synth line
Mhm.
that we were talking about. I believe he at 429 is ad libbing Tweedly D, which
Yes,
is good.
yes, yes.
I'm like,
More
what?
Tweedly Dees. Come on, man.
uh, uh, thought that was pretty interesting, if nothing else. But yeah, it's a 4.5 for me, just because of the music. Would be a five if the lyrics weren't borderline cringe. 9.4.
All right,
So
you guys are gonna
yeah,
make me feel creepy for giving this a 5 out of 5.
you don't need to.
That's
There's
fine.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nope, nope. It's a 2 out of 5. I don't know. You guys made me uncomfortable now.
No.
No, it's 5 out of 5.
What did you give it a zero, AJ?
I did not, because again, it's background music. You take out the
Okay.
vocals and stuff, it's fine. It's a 1
Okay.
for me.
One.
Like
All
again,
right.
if this was playing in the background, I'd be all right.
All right. Uh, track 3. Tell me it's me you want. Um, AJ, would you like to start off this time?
So the intro of this until like the vocals starts to remind me of like Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes" a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And then like once you get past that intro, I think they could have chopped some time off of there, to get out of it. But I think this is fine. Again, he emotes really well. The lyrics are simple. These are, I think, possibly the like best representation or the best horseshoe that connects to like the emo music line that I had. But again, he emotes well. Like you can tell that, like, man, like who can we find
Soulful.
out who? Yeah, like who are you writing about? Like, 'cause I want to see what she looked like
Tell
in
me.
the
Oh, I love it.
right. Yeah, no, like yeah, the vocals are so good, right? I have this as a 2 out of 3 on it.
Okay.
So I liked it, yeah. But it does, yeah, sort of feel like Peter Gabriel R&B.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I say that like it's a good thing.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. My bad.
No.
Yeah.
ahead.
Kylan, go ahead.
Yes, I will second the Peter Gabriel thing. This is the first time you get like a real like snare hit on this album.
Yeah.
Like it's so loud.
Yeah.
It's so good. All of the sounds on this song. So my biggest complaint with this genre and this time period is usually like the repetition. Like it does feel like, and it's through no fault of the genre, but to go back to AJ's point, a lot of it does feel like hold music. Like people took a lot of these elements and are like, oh well, this is pleasing to the human ear. So let's just play this for like 10 minutes while people are waiting with Bank of America to, you know, hear about their accounts. But there was enough ear candy for me. Like it didn't just feel like loops. Like there were a lot of moments where it kind of dipped into that, and I did kind of tune out. But then there would be something else interesting that would like pick up, you know, around a couple minutes into the song. So I give this 4 out of 5.
Now, this is my least favorite song on the album, but it's still 4 stars, 8.6 for me. I just think the chorus, like you said, it's repetitive. It's not. I don't think it's as well developed as a lot of the other choruses on here. Still love the 808s, love the beat, the snare, like you talk about. They seem to hit at an unusual time. I don't know, like I don't know all that, but it's like maybe it's where it's so 808 centric that it just is striking when it does happen.
Right. Well, it's because like that snare hit is not constant. So like when it does come in, you're like a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
And it's those sort of like ear candy moments that happen throughout the whole song that like keep you engaged enough to like get through the whole song.
Yeah. Still 4 stars, 8.6 for me.
Okay.
So let's move to the top 10 Hot 100 single. I Want Her hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was number 1 on the R&B chart for 3 weeks. Kylan, what'd you think about this one?
5 out of 5, man. This is my favorite song on the album. I love the orchestra hits. The dun, 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 dun. Like it's a very specific sound. This feels like playing my favorite level of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I mean that in the best way.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, it's so good. It's so good. His voice is like, I don't know, it all interplays so well of like, okay, we're gonna kind of vibe out with the music for a little bit, and then he's gonna come in with like an ad lib, and we're gonna focus on his voice for a while. No, it's so good. It's so good. I can't even believe it's 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it.
I was thinking that when you said this was your favorite. I'm like,
I don't even care. I don't even care, man. It's so good. I can listen to all 6 minutes, and I just want to play Sonic the Hedgehog while I listen to this song.
Awesome. AJ, how do you feel about it?
So this is my favorite song on that
Yeah!
as well.
Hey,
We've
here we go.
recovered. All right, like that. Like I Want Her. The sound's really cool. It's got some sweet bass. It's got horns. It's got electronics. It is pure chaos. So like it is giving good dopamine to my ADHD brain. Right?
Exactly.
It sort of, I think, sounds like New Kids on the Block a little bit, or I guess New Kids on the Block sound like this a bit.
Yeah, they did the New Jack Swing thing a little bit.
Okay, I'd even take it further though, tagging in my older sister's like deep obsession with boy band music, and say that this sort of sounds like a Backstreet Boys music, a Backstreet Boys song too.
For sure.
Especially like you get that Want Her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this could have, I think, influence those. But again, somebody listening to this would be like, you're kidding, like.
Yeah.
But I have a note about the vocals too, because they're very different, and like the vocals, because he's got incredible range, I think, throughout this. But on this, it's that they're almost like they're most instrumental, like they're just like, but yeah, this is easily my favorite song on the record. I also think that there's some like Prince vibes a little bit, like Bat Dance Prince vibes a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I dig it.
far as the vocals, I think I read that Teddy Riley was encouraging Keith Sweat to sing even more nasally than usual.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Yeah,
next
keep
but
it
one.
there
he didn't
different.
want
Yeah.
to. He
Yeah.
like walked out, right? Like he
Yeah,
like walked
yeah.
out of the studio. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Well, this also like weirdly, because I mean, the title of "I Want Her" like almost sounds like the least pathetic, if I can use
Yeah.
that word, song on this album. He's just like very confident, like her.
Yes, more
I
confident.
want
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. For sure.
And so it feels like almost like the most mature
Mhm.
emotionally song on the record. And I mean that as in like in a positive way. Not that like it is a very different. It's not like obsession. It's not so this pathetic longing. It's just like fuck the girl. This
Yeah.
is his version that's being like wifey material.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I dig
Yeah.
it. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I love it. It's easy 9.7, 5 stars. Not my favorite, but probably my second favorite on the album.
Okay.
Insanely catchy beat, bass line, very 80s, but in a great way, I think.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, I guess I would call it a tribute from the Christian music scene to the secular music scene is Fred Hammond on one of his albums borrows the I wanna, but he changes it to I wanna, and then it's I wanna lift him up, but it has
Oh,
that same I
nice.
wanna, yeah, which it's obviously a play off this. So CCM Twitter, there's a little bit
Nice.
of a thing for you. But yeah, it's just a great pop song. Um, that yeah,
This is
like
one of
you
the two I
said.
recognize. Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, yeah. Like you all mentioned, Bruno Mars. I could see
Yeah,
Bruno Mars trying
100%.
to
I
do
want to see
something
him
like
cover.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. So 5 star, 9.7 for me. Uh, did you give it a three, AJ?
2.75, I
Two
think.
2.75. All right. Track
It's-
5, Make It Last Forever. What were you about to say, AJ?
Oh, I'm stingy with my threes.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. I'm I'm stingy with my 9.8s and up, so I get it. Um the song hit number 59 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and number 2 on the Hot Black Singles chart, which I thought was a dating app or something when I read that, but I don't think that's a thing anymore. I've
Nope.
never heard of that.
This is far and away the most streamed song on this record
Oh,
too.
is it really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's a good
Yeah.
baby making music. Heck yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about this one, Kylan?
This is one of my least favorite songs on the record.
Okay.
Um, and it's wild because this is the title track. Um, I really like Jackie McGee's vocals.
Mm,
They do add something different, but production wise, at this point on the record, to go back to this sort of like mid-tempo, slow jam kind of thing, uh, the production doesn't add enough for me to like really engage with it. Like I already the second this song starts, I'm like, I've already heard this song. Like I've already heard this song on this record. Um, so I kind of tuned out. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
okay. All right. AJ, what did you think of this one?
So I agree with the placement comment. Like this should have been a good track too,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I recognize the song, so I'm guessing again this was on pop stations, would be
Yeah.
in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This has like a bit of like a Tony Braxton vibe to it. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
vocally and
sure.
musically. Um, I really like the call and response with the vocals. That you were kind of talking about there, Kylan. Is that like xylophones in the background or something like that? The song like there's some like a bit of a different instrument in there
Yeah.
that I
Mhm.
like. So I like how the vocals play back and forth, and then I kind of like that different sound. I think there's sense, but they sound like strings a few times throughout the song that again aren't there permanently. Like they show up a bit and then they drop
Right.
back out. the ear candy to use that. Um, and so yeah, I dug this song. It's a 2 out of 3 for me. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'd
for me,
put it at track 2.
yeah. Uh, for me, like the beat of the song is exactly what I mean when I say I like slow jam 808s. Like
Right.
I don't know what you call those. Like are they like can hits or something right there?
Right.
The I don't know. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this is just a song that if I'm just riding around with nowhere to go and want to hear some R&B, this is the kind of thing I would put on to jam out to and
For sure.
kind of chill me out when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
It's a 9.75 star for me. I understand your criticisms of it, but it's very much just like what I look for in
Yeah.
a
No, for
slow
sure.
jam beat.
It all makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, I think the big thing for me is the placement on the album.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah. I get that.
I think if it had come a little bit before, I wouldn't already be sort of like weary of this vibe.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Well,
Makes sense.
especially because the last track was like so energetic.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Like if we're going
yeah,
right back down into this, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like it's
yeah.
cool. It's good
Right.
background music. This to me is like AJ's note on the other song. Like this feels like hold music to me.
Mm, okay. It would
Which
be.
I can fully accept like being wrong. I mean, 43 million streams seems to prove that I'm maybe in the minority opinion on this.
It's
And
wild
it
to
is what the album's called. Like it's the title
yeah.
track. So I don't
It's
know.
wild to me that like I Winter was the big pop radio hit,
Right.
but Make It Last Forever, which had nowhere near the success on radio, is now the song that people listen to from this album. It's just interesting to me
Yeah.
how time changes those kinds of things.
Hmm.
But um, all right, let's go to track 6, In the Rain. Um, the only song on the album not written by Keith Sweat or Teddy Riley.
Oh,
It's
really?
a cover of a song by the Dramatics, which came out in 1972, which I had no clue until I was doing research for this
Oh,
episode. I thought
cool.
it was a Keith Sweat original. But um, AJ, how do you feel about this one?
So you guys have heard me describe my band from like 15 years ago as sounding like Copeland doing R&B. And
Mm,
I think that like through time and space, we reached back and pulled some of this song to the early 2000s a little bit. And funny enough, that song is called Rain.
mm,
And so I think that it sounds like this weird kind of mixture there. It's good slow jams. I like the rain effect in the background, like the
mm.
beginning. It plays a little too much throughout the song, in my opinion, to where you kind of lose it,
Okay.
to where it kind of becomes distracting. I think the song goes on for a minute too long, but again, solid slow jam.
Mm. Kylan? Hey, wait, why did you score that, AJ?
Oh, I have it as a 2.
Two. All right. Kylan?
Um, I like this song. It's very on the nose.
Yeah,
I do like the rain sound effects, but
I do too.
like
only at
it's
the start.
it's
Like it goes on through way through too long.
through yeah, way too long. Okay. Uh I'm going to do what I feel like is maybe established at this point on the show as a classic Kylan Savage tangent.
It's too long.
Hit me with it.
No, okay. Um so okay, I'm trying to figure out how best to frame this. Okay, in the late 2000s, I was obsessed with weird music artifacts, I guess, like these smaller musicians releasing music that I enjoyed relatively ironically. Um, so I found this boy band from Central Florida in 2008. They released a song called "I Like the Rain," um, and it is a group of preteens who were trying to be like the next Backstreet Boys or
Mm.
NSYNC. And they released a song called "I Like the Rain." And I'm going to share this with you guys. This was my favorite YouTube video in 2008.
Did you open for
And
these guys, Kylan?
no, I did not. But okay, it's like Rebecca Black level, right? Like they had like a management company, and they should not have released this. But I always think of it.
I can't really hear it.
Oh wait, you can't hear it?
Mm-mm.
Oh
Or
Mm-mm.
no.
or
Oh,
see it. Are you sharing the video?
oh, I
I can
am.
see it.
You can
Yeah, I
I
can
can't
see
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 it,
it.
it.
but
Why don't I see it?
Your eyes are saving you.
yeah, I think so. I think so. Wait. Okay, well, maybe that's the universe telling me I should cut all of this. Okay. Um, I like Rain songs. I think Rain is a really easy metaphor or language tool within music to evoke a specific emotion. I'm honestly okay with the rain sound effects going all the way throughout. It makes me zone out a little bit, but kind of in the best way.
Like the call map or something come in a
Yeah,
song.
yeah. So I give this 4 out of 5.
Well, yeah, I like that the rain goes through most of the song because at some point, like if I start to drift, I'm like, oh, is the rain still there? Yep, rain's still there. And then I focus on another element. I don't know. It's just uh, I don't know. One more thing that I can see where it would be distracting. For me, it's not loud enough to where it does distract from the whole song. Um, this is the only song where the length bothers me a bit. I do,
Ooh.
wish it was a little shorter, but
Eric, that may be the first negative thing you've said about any of these records that we've talked about.
possibly. Well, I mean, these are, as I've said before, we're covering like my 29 favorite albums of all time. So there's very little for me to complain about on these. But yeah, there are some little things here and there. Um, I wonder. I know they try to make the A side and B side around the same length in these, around this time for vinyl and
Mm,
cassette purposes and things. So, I wonder if maybe that's why some of the songs might feel a little longer than they should. But
yeah.
um, still a 4.5 stars for me. A 9.4. I like. It's just chill. It feels good. It's calming, soothing.
Yeah.
Um, which I like songs like that because I get worked up easy, and I like to put on chill songs that
There
can
you go.
actually calm me down.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's move to track 7. How deep is your love? Kylan, how do you feel about this one?
This is my least favorite song on the record. I give this a 3 out of 5
Okay.
for one reason and one reason only. The vocal production is entirely different than the rest of the record. Um, it's a lot drier. Like there are not as many effects on the vocals. Um, and to put it at this point in the record, it makes it feel a little less intentional to me. Hold on, I want to skip ahead to where he actually starts singing. Like this feels a little more like scratch track to me. Like it doesn't feel as polished as the other vocals on the record.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was something about the vocal production and the placement made this
Okay.
rank very low for me. But still, 3 out of 5. Like I
Yeah,
still
that's
like
still
it.
good. Right. All right, AJ, what do you think about this one?
I kind of like the like Daft Punk style, like how deep is your love? I do like
I love
the
that.
use of that, yeah. And he busts out
Yeah.
like this, I think falsetto is maybe how I would describe it.
Yeah,
That I like. But yeah, it's kind of just there for me. It almost feels like they're like, ah, shoot, we need one more track on here.
yeah.
And so they threw this on here, and it feels like maybe even came back that they tried to be like, hey, we're gonna get away with one less track, and the record label came back and they were like, nope, which is why I think it feels sort of different. So yeah, this I'm gonna vacillate between like it's somewhere between a 1.75 and a 2, so I'll be nice
Okay.
and say 2.
Okay.
I give a lot of 2s on this album. I don't, but I feel like yeah, it's a 2 lean heading to probably 1.75. So
Okay. This is my
Eric,
favorite song on the
I
album.
knew it. I knew
Yes,
it. I knew it.
I
I
knew
could
it.
tell from the second I started talking about it.
The eye twitch gave it away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was gripping his keyboard.
All right, all right. Tell us. Change our
Tell us where
minds,
we're
man.
wrong.
Yes, please.
I love the beat, the groove. I love the background vocals. I one of the reviews I read on Write Your Music said this album is the human and inhuman in sync. And I feel like this track hits me most that way. Um it's just chill and fun to listen to for me. I
I
like the
get it.
production and
I get
everything.
it. I think for me though, this honestly would go up 1 full point if they added the same sort of like vocal production from the previous tracks. And this is like super nitpicky music
I
nerd
honestly did not
guy.
even notice that, and I didn't even notice the lyrics are produced different, or the words are produced different, or whatever vocals. Interesting.
Uh,
No, it jumps out to me too as like I don't know if he's like further away from the microphone or what, but there's something definitely different.
yeah, they feel so like the term is drier, right? Like there's not as much reverb.
mhm.
It feels a little more direct into the mic. Um, which I can see potentially being like a creative choice. Um, but to me just felt like they kind of forgot to add all the things to the vocal.
It was
Okay.
going to the print shop and they were like, hey, like tonight we need another
Yeah,
track.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so they threw it on there.
So I had to look at Rate Your Music and look at the track ratings for this. The highest rated track on this album is Right in a Wrong Way, which is just shocking to me. But this one has a 4.1
Like
out of 5.
ironically
I don't
that's that.
know. I mean, it's got a 4.2. That's the highest out of any of them on
Okay.
here.
All right.
Uh, Tell Me It's Me You Want is the lowest rated, which I think it's also my lowest rated. I'm really surprised I Wonder is not the highest rated on here. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I love it. It's a jam for me.
Nice.
Um, so let's go to the final track, Don't Stop Your Love.
Ooh, buddy. Track number 8, the last track?
I know.
Oh yeah.
How do you
I
feel
mean,
about that?
oh, give this whole album 5 out of 5. It's great. I'm here
Even
for
with all the songs
it.
being like 6 minutes long.
Yeah, it's
Ah, sure.
still for like 43 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I
Something
know.
like that.
And I had about two
Um,
more hours to go before I got to your love.
So what do you
I
think about
love
it,
the
Kylan?
little spoken word intro.
It's different,
Okay.
right? Like
Um,
by this length, it's something nice to
yeah,
add in.
Yep.
exactly. Yeah, no, I think this is great as a final track. Um, this more than any others feels very like Marvin Gaye
Hmm.
influenced, and
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of Marvin Gaye influence on this,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
specifically the 808 clavs. They're called clavs. It's that
Yeah.
like, oh, I love those. I love
Yeah.
those, and I think this is great. I give this 4 out of 5.
Nice. AJ?
Yeah, it's a good just jam song. I like the
Yeah.
the intro. It's different. I like the background vocals doing the like "Don't Stop Your Love" throughout the song.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is a good little slow jam. Like this feels like a late '80s slow jam.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
again, solid 2 out of 3 for me.
Yeah, I think it's got a really great groove. I think I like that it kind of they have the spoken word part, and then this just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Um,
it wraps up the
808.
album really well. I
Hmm.
feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
album has a really good intro and a really good conclusion.
Hmm.
yeah. I like the whatever they're doing with the. I don't know. Is that like it's not scratching? I don't know what it is. Where they kind of mix up the background vocals.
Yeah.
Um, uh, there's a lot of rhythmic elements, which I
Hmm.
really enjoy. It's a 5 star, 9.7 for me. Um, so yeah, short and sweet on the track list this time. AJ, what are your final thoughts on the album and your final rating?
I think my final ratings are just a solid 2 out of 3. So I think that's
Nice.
it's what we see throughout the album, right?
Yep.
I really dig like this mixture of like 80s electronic pop with the R&B, music. I think that the songs could be more focused at times. But I think I've kind of well established I don't like long intros and long conclusions in individual songs often enough. Apparently, only Falling Up can do those well, in my opinion. So I do like that interesting mix. And you can hear, I think, the influence just from there to modern pop music. Bruno
Yeah.
Mars, has come up a few times. I think that's the most obvious, but we've mentioned throughout other references.
Mhm.
Um, I really do like his use of his vocals. Like he's acting in the way he emotes with those vocals,
Mhm.
and like delivering them really quite well. Like his voice never breaks or whatever, but I think that there would have been times that would have been interesting to see that he's like so frustrated that his voice just breaks, but he does
Mhm.
emote really well. Um, so yeah, this is different for I think at least most of the music that I listen to. But yeah, it's good tunes. Solid.
When at the beginning of the episode we were talking about your rating system and you were going into the detail about your zeros, I was like, AJ's going to give this album a zero.
No, this actually that had to actually go off of other discussions we had about other comments that certain other people on this show made on other shows that they're on that um to be very clear about my discussion of music is I think at times it might feel like I'm pulling punches when discussing music, but it has to not only be something I just audibly don't like, but almost like ethically or morally dislike to be like this needs to go in the trash heap.
Yeah.
And even then it's gotta be pretty far. So that's what that discussion was trying
Gotcha.
to
That makes sense.
no, but I
Yeah.
like it that it made you think that, like, oh no, this is gonna be the first time he really tears into something, and then I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So
Yeah.
maybe I should do that every episode, like start messing with you
Ooh,
guys and just one way or the
make us
other.
nervous. Yeah.
Like one way, yeah, just like come out like an album that like I just think that we're not gonna like this. This is the best album of all time.
That's
Like
a
that might sound
real Kylan move.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like this is different. This again, good background music, good grown up time music.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. But my biggest note that I haven't brought up until now is, you know, I feel like through listening to this album multiple times this week, if my entire family did not have COVID this week, uh, my daughter may have a sibling in 9 months after me listening to this album.
So on that note, real quick, I was listening to the live version, or yeah, he had a live album, and a
Nice.
lot of the songs from this were on here. And before, I think it was before "How Deep Is Your Love." He's like, "Yeah, a lot of babies made to this song right here."
Like he knows what's up. He knows what he's
Yeah,
doing.
I mean, I was gonna ask about that festival that you went to. Like, is there a baby boom? Like, I don't know, 40 weeks after that?
Right.
very possibly could have been, but it was probably too late for people to go home and do
Oh
anything about
yeah,
it at that
yeah.
point.
No, it's
So
12:30. It's
uh,
like no, we're all going to bed. Like,
it was serious. I think it was after. It was probably 1:30 before the
oh my
concert
god,
was
yeah.
over. It
No,
was
it's bedtime.
yeah,
I think I'd
Not like
even like
fun
complained about
bedtime.
that
It's
at
just
like
bedtime.
yeah.
I would like complained about a concert getting over at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, even when I was like in my mid 20s, let alone like
Yeah,
late 30s. I'd been
it
like, this is
was.
far too late.
Yeah.
So it was there were so many delays that the promoter or whatever was on stage. He literally called up his buddy from that he grew up with or something to come up there and do a comedy routine.
Oh my god,
That it was a disaster, but memorable if
that's
nothing
wild.
But you
else.
got to see Keith Sweat live, so
I did. Yes, definitely worth it. Kylan, what are your final
You
thoughts
know,
and
it's
rating?
it's a it's a solid 4 out of 5, man. I had a lot
Nice,
of fun listening to this.
awesome.
Um, it partially may be the fact that this is like the first like sub 14 track album I've listened to in a month and a half. But no, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Um,
I'm glad to hear that. I thought you
I w-
would, but
I will say it was hard to find the time to listen to this album. Uh, Given that I have up until this point, there I've given at least one listen to most of the albums we've talked to with my entire family in the car. And this was not one that uh, I felt I could. um,
that's understandable.
um, but
Understandable.
I did have lots of very, at least to me, comedic moments. There was one specifically today. I was doing my last listen, um, and I was walking around. I was like finalizing my notes. I'm just standing in the hall. Like I realize I'm just standing completely still in the middle of the hallway, listening to Keith Sweat and writing notes. And then I hear uh my wife in the bathroom being like, Kylan, Kylan, Kylan. I was like, oh, sorry, what? She's like, hey, I didn't know if you could hear me. I've been saying your name for 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm listening to Keith Sweat. And she just gave me this look of just like, freaking of course you are. Like just she just fully expected that kind of nonsense to come out of my mouth. And I'm like, this is what I do. Thank
Love
you.
that.
I think my wife
No,
had a
it was
very
great.
similar
Hilarious.
reaction. I know my older sister did when I was
Yeah.
she's like, and yeah, and other people have just been like, yeah, hmm that checks out. Why not?
Yep.
um, so, Kylan, since you've rated all the albums that we've done, I have to I let you know where you're putting them in
Oh,
this.
please. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Let me know because I don't remember.
so so you have it behind Falling Up and All the Day Holiday. Both got 4.5 stars.
Okay.
Odd Eye Circle got 4.25, and then you got Keith Sweat at 4, ahead of Luna Halo at 3.5 and Evans Blue at 3. Does that sound right?
I feel good about that.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. I will
nice.
stick by that so far.
Awesome. For me, it's a 4.5 star album. Um, but yeah, my favorite R&B album ever.
It's
Um,
good.
so yeah, thank you all for going along with this.
Yeah. Um,
Go ahead.
what are we going to talk about next week?
Well, I don't think I have any more that would be inappropriate for you to play in the car. So I guess that's a
Dang
good
it.
thing. Um, do we want to do what are y'all in the kind of thing are y'all in the mood for?
Let's do
We
something
got
heavy. Can
something
I do something
heavy.
heavy?
All right, let's see. We got Moving Mountains, which is like a atmospheric post-hardcore kind of thing. Um, My Epic Behold, also like atmospheric post-hardcore.
Okay.
Um, Thrice the Artist in the Ambulance, which I know you've covered on CJN. Um, Living Sacrifice, the hammering process would be the heaviest of this bunch.
Okay.
Waking Giants by Life in Your Way is I don't know. I was on the fence about covering that one. I think we're gonna leave that one off because technically it's below the threshold I was going for. So what do you think?
Well, personally, I think um, my epic could be really fun because I'm
Okay.
not familiar with that at all.
Okay. And I will be seeing them at Furnace Fest here in a couple
I was gonna
weeks.
suggest
So
them for that
Okay.
reason. That
yeah,
Nice. All right.
mo-
Let's do
sounds like
that.
that's the call then. All right, sounds good.
Um,
Um,
will you do me a huge favor and text me the name of the album
yeah,
tomorrow?
yeah,
yes,
that'd be useful.
for
Cool.
sure, definitely.
Because
Um,
I was a little I was a little panicked all week that I was listening to the wrong Keith Sweat album.
did I not send it in the? I thought I
You
sent it
did.
in
You sent it
the.
as like the
Okay,
Spotify link.
Oh, you
okay,
did? Oh, okay, well, I
yeah,
missed that. And
okay,
that's just on me. But
I'm waiting for
okay.
that to to happen. That I've lined
it
up
will
like
happen. It
conversations.
will
Well, I
100%
jump on and I'm
happen.
like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
Nah. Well, maybe like midway through the week, I should just send a comment of some
Oh,
sort about the
that'd be
album. That
great.
would
You're like,
okay.
I
Understand
love
who
this
you're dealing
song
with here. All
from
right, like,
this album by
Yeah.
this artist. I'm like, oh, yeah, perfect.
yeah. What did
That's
you
Okay.
all I
think
need.
of this album that we are
Yeah.
Yeah.
discussing on Saturday?
Okay. I can do that. I can do that. I want to shout out and thank you all the patrons. Shout out to WoW tier patron Tim Rogers. Um, AJ, any new news with the book or anything that you want to plug or anything you got
Yes,
coming
because
up?
of when this is going to be going,
Okay.
right? Like this will be out like mid to late October, right?
So it'll still be a few weeks.
Yeah. All right. We good, Kylan? Can I do it?
Yeah,
Can I do
dude.
it? All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Short stories for people with
it's
short
your book,
attention
man.
spans are coming
Yeah.
out in November. It is a
Oh,
collection
nice.
of short stories coming out in November.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
currently trying to
and
figure
so
out what the art's gonna look like.
yeah, because it is pure Chaos Goblin ADHD collection. Like there, I
Yes.
did organize it into like four sections that I think makes sense, but like it still jumps from stuff related to Jesus and Joe Strummer in short story form to like contemporary lit, to horror and supernatural to like straight up whimsy. Um, and I
Wow.
had a lot of fun writing. I was trying to basically figure out what book three was going to be, and so I decided to write a bunch of short stories. Then I was like, I think this is book two.
Yeah.
And then I bumped what was going to
That's
be
awesome.
book two to book four, I think. And then I came up with book three. So, but yes, short stories for people with short attention spans is going to be out in November with the cover created by Kylan. We're getting
Ooh.
there. We're really
We
getting
are.
there.
We are. We're figuring it out.
We had
Sounds sounds perfect for me.
Yeah, like everything should take anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes to read, and you don't necessarily have to remember anything. You don't, right? Like there's only two stories that are blatantly connected, as in they're called side A and side B
Right.
of that. And then there are three that are connected, but it's not a huge deal. They're origin stories for three characters for what I think will come out. a year from now.
Ooh.
And so yes, I'm excited, and it's basically yeah, like choose your mood. Like you want something heavy? Got heavy, sad stuff. I made people cry with some. I made a Marine cry. All right. And so I've got that. I've got fun. I've got silly. And one of the fun things is like all the stories are named after song titles, and
Mm,
so I think that's going to be a fun mix, and it might be a fun discussion to try and drag the two of you into of like
Ooh, yeah.
let's go through these.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fun.
But yes, short stories for people with short attention spans will be out on Amazon and apparently Bookshop some point
Yeah.
after that, because Jesus and Joe Strummer is also now on Bookshop on top of Amazon and will be
Very
in
cool.
Barnes and Noble, I think, next month too.
Ooh,
So
oh, that's so rad.
Wow, that's
yeah,
awesome. It's very
excited.
exciting. Um, Kylan, what would you like to
Uh,
Flag,
flag?
Flag.
flag, plug.
I don't know. Um, if you don't know me by now, uh, uh just search in Apple Podcasts. Please repeat productions. You can find everything I'm involved in. Beyond that, if you follow me on social media and mostly know me for my horrifically bad CCM takes, get prepared because we're going into spooky season and I'm only going to talk about horror movies. So follow me on Twitter or X at Savage Kylan.
Awesome. Um, yeah. Do you guys like have like parties you go to for Halloween and you like dress up and stuff, or is that are y'all like
I used to.
Yeah, I used to.
Um,
Now I have 4 kids.
yeah?
yeah, we mostly just trick or treat. Um, I will say right before Willow was born was the last Halloween party that I went to. I feel like you guys will maybe appreciate this the way that I do. I like to do really, really, really specific costumes. Um, so I went to a party at co-host of Church Games Now, TJ Smith, at his house, and I dressed up as a magician who is called Magic Mike. Um, and the whole idea was I kept saying I'm Magic Mike without. So the idea was I was a magician who had never seen the movie Magic Mike and did not understand it was about male strippers and thought it was about magicians. But then I go to this party where 90% of the people I don't know. um, and so like I'm in a full like cape and top hat and a fake like drawn on like wax mustache and I kept saying, "Hey, I'm Magic Mike." And everyone's like, "Oh, are you going to strip for us?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And because I fully committed to this character of being Magic Mike, the guy who's a magician that doesn't understand there is a movie called Magic Mike, and it was one of the more
That's amazing.
humiliating party experiences that I've ever had because so many people yelled for me to strip, and I was like, I don't know, is this your card? Like I fully committed to this.
But see, you should feel like very like wanted and desired. When has a group of people yelled at you for you to get naked?
Well, it's not the first nor the last, but that's maybe a story for the Patreon. Uh, so my whole thing, my entire relationship with Halloween is that I love to dress up, but I also really love disappointing everyone else in my life. Because
Amazing.
the year after I was Magic Mike, I took my dog had a surgery and she had a plastic cone she had to put around
Yeah.
her neck. So then I took that cone and I put it over my head and I took my Magic Mike cape and flipped it around so it was red instead of black. And I just told everyone I was Handmaid's Tale. But just the concept, Handmaid's Tale. And they're like, wait, oh, okay, are you this character from The Handmaid's Tale? I was like, I don't know, I've never seen it. I'm just Handmaid's Tale. So that's my relationship with Halloween.
See,
That
I
is
find these
amazing.
hilarious because like all of my costumes are like
See,
either
this is why I want to go. I like we should have a Halloween party all together because I also have wanted. There have been some very specific church names now, like group costumes that I've tried to get the other guys to do, but all go to our respective like Halloween parties and not explain that it's a group costume, but all together it makes sense.
I like
Like
that.
like all
That's
going
yeah,
as
that would be
as
funny.
as the different guys from DC
DC
Talk.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
That would
I
be
like
funny.
it.
Yeah.
No, like
Uh,
my costumes are always either like my I guess my best or my favorite ones are like mashup costumes. Space Elf of Santa Claus from Mars was one as a kid.
Oh, that's so
Hockey
good.
playing Frankenstein would have been like another one. Um, or my wife and I went as Negan and Lucille Ball from Walking
Oh,
Dead,
that's so
Negan's
good.
baseball bat.
That's
Yes,
so
yes.
good.
I was very proud of that one. Um, I've gone, and this is one that's actually you have to get like the reference and stuff like that. One with a friend of mine, just wearing our normal clothes, but we said we were the brothers from Supernatural, and it tracked because of how we dress. People were like,
Oh,
"Oh, this
that's
is so
so good.
great," and we just were wearing normal
Oh,
clothes.
that's so good.
Um, so I don't know. I love Halloween. I have four kids and I have no friends here, so I think we'll just do a trick or treating. We were gonna do Lord of the Rings or like Middle Earth because we do like that here, and like I make
Mm.
the joke of like I don't even gotta wear a beard for Gandalf. I've got the white beard.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Right, and I've got like my sons have Hobbit jerseys. They were at Hot Topic or Box Lunch, one of the two when I was out in
Uh,
Phoenix. And so they have like Hobbit sports jerseys.
oh, that's
My
great.
youngest daughter really loves dwarves. And my oldest really loves elves. And so like I'm going as some gender swapped Legolas, Tariel, any of
Oh, that's
the
so
yeah,
good.
right? Or in my 5-year-old going as a dwarf, she brings real dwarf energy to things. Like you feel like she's gonna grab you and like headbutt you to greet you.
Right.
Like that's very much her. And so I don't know if we'll end up doing that. I was just thinking about this tonight, of like we gotta figure out what we're gonna do for Halloween.
Right.
Um, the weekend before Halloween though, like friends I saw in Dallas come visit me. They come here to BFE and we go to the city we live near and get hotels. And if I could talk them into it, we go to Rocky Horror because it's like the
Oh,
one weird
nice.
thing that
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
where I'm
yeah.
at. And they play it in this old, like, decrepit movie theater that they're trying to convert into a music venue. And it's just like one of their charity fundraiser things.
Right.
And again, one of my buddies is like big. I've seen pictures of them, like big, long haired, grizzled beard, marine tattooed and stuff. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go Rocky Horror because it's your favorite thing. So I don't know if we'll end
So
up doing
good.
that this year, the
Awesome.
weekend before, but it's like the one weird thing that happens here, and I want weird things to happen here, and so I always want to try and encourage it.
Yeah,
But
for
yes,
sure.
goofy puns
For
or
sure.
weird mashups are my jam for Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think I've dressed up since like I went trick or treating. Like we've never done like parties or anything, but
Mm.
I like seeing everybody else's
Right.
outfits.
You should dress up
Um,
as like your regular teenager self and be like, I'm a child of fundamentalist Baptist parents who don't get to dress up for Halloween, and that's your
Yeah,
costume.
that's
It's
what
yeah.
just
what
There we go.
one of my favorite costumes I did was a couple years ago. I had a bunch of Truth About Movie Stars CDs and bumper stickers that said myspace.com/ the truth about movie stars. And so I dressed up as myself from high school and just gave everybody CDs for my high school band.
That's
Like
awesome.
everybody that I saw. I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm the lead singer of the Truth About Movie Stars. Here you
That's
go.
great.
So did you
That's
hold on,
great.
hold on? Did you have a vest? This is
Oh
very
yeah,
important.
yeah, of
Okay,
course, of
just
course.
making sure.
A
Just making sure.
vest and a youth extra large Chiodos t-shirt from Hot Topic and a cadet hat. Oh yeah, no,
Love it.
I went all out. Uh,
That's awesome.
my favorite thing, my wife and I started a tradition a few years ago too, where um, we basically wait until Halloween. We each come up with a concept for a costume, and then we go to Walmart on Halloween where everything is like bled dry mostly, right? And we set a timer. Each of us gets 15 minutes. So she'll go in first. And then when she comes out, I'll go in. We each get 15 minutes. And we have a budget of $15 to try to buy everything you can to make your costume. And then we each get dressed separately and then come together and try to figure out uh, who each other's costume is.
That's awesome.
That
Oh,
is excellent.
love it.
Yeah.
All right. Guess we're still recording, right? So guess
Oh
I should
yeah, yeah.
wrap
Oh
this
Yeah,
yeah,
up.
it's
yeah. No,
this is
this is what I call Patreon content.
no. See, you should
uh
take your costume this year. To say the word concept, maybe think about this. Just write down various words and attach them to you, and you're the concept of a plan
Oh,
to
that's so good.
reference
I had the concept
from
of
the
a plan.
debate.
So
all right.
good.
So let us know what you think about uh Make It Last Forever by Keith Sweat if you've heard it. And if you've enjoyed it, please like the video and please subscribe. And we will see you next time. Amy Grant.